There we go. Test, testy, testy, wordsy, 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 testy, wordsy, testy, wordsy, test, test, test. There we go. We're up and running. Sorry, guys. Had a little bit of a problem going with my camera, which is for some reason just not connecting sometimes, which is always really, really fun. I've got to sort out the weird tech bugs and niggles that I've got going on in the background. But we are not here to discuss tech bugs, tech niggles, and all that kind of stuff. Instead, we are here to discuss the sort of updates that have come out specifically surrounding Harry Wilson today, because we all know he's been one of the main topics of conversation, at least amongst Leeds United fans, as potential moves this season go. Over like sort of free transfers, it's between him and Brandt as to who people want more. To be fair, I'm roughly even on them. Both would be absolutely wonderful. Very unlikely, but that'd be lovely. And today we've had a little bit of an update from The Athletic, from various different sources actually, that have sort of said that Leeds are in a very good position when it comes to this move. So, specifically reading from The Athletic right now, Leeds United and Harry Wilson's representatives are in positive talks over the terms of a deal which would take the Wales international to Elland Road. Simple start. Love to see it. Genuinely, the fact that we are actively pursuing players like this, fantastic. The 29-year-old's Fulham contract expires this month, and he will be a free agent from July the 1st. Not only that, but I've heard from other various sources that Harry Wilson just has been offered an extension at Fulham and has just said no, he is looking for a new challenge, which would be absolutely fantastic for us. Hello there, Sly and Simon Juniper and the Leeds United fan. In theory, the chat should be showing up here, but it seems to be not doing that, which is unfun. Unless I've just not got it for some reason. Hold on, let's try it. No, it's not that one. Oh, there we go. Lovely. I wasn't expecting that to show up, and then it did. Hello there, the Leeds United fan Manji Rai and James Howe. So his Fulham contract expires towards the end of this month. He has not signed a new one, which is a sort of fundamental part of this update. And it also mentions that the move to Leeds collapsed on the final day of last summer's transfer window, but both parties are now trying to find an agreement. The fact that we are trying to find an agreement and Harry Wilson is trying to find an agreement says that both sides are at the very least in principle agreed, aligned, and hoping for a squish. Which for me is incredibly positive from a Leeds United perspective because it essentially eliminates a hell of a lot of the options that Harry Wilson was looking at. If you have a look at the conversation and say that, well, apparently Everton were looking at him and Villa were looking at him, and I had Benfica at some point earlier today. If you've got interest from all these different places, but a big news source comes out, a big news source specifically in this case being The Athletic, in terms of like readership, it's not the biggest in the world, but in terms of reliability, I'd say The Athletic is probably considered the number one amongst everyone, everywhere. If you've got a massive source like that coming out and saying, yep, Leeds want him, he wants Leeds, there are very positive talks. If you're an Everton or an Aston Villa or a Benfica or anyone along those lines, you're probably going to say to yourself, let's maybe step back from this one, we'll call it there. Competition for his signature is fierce, with other clubs also in talks with representatives of the player who scored 10 Premier League goals last season. This may be true, but I still think with all this considered, we are very much in the driving seat. This stream, might I add, just before we dive any further, is more of a sort of chatty one, but it's not going to be the longest, because I have work very, very shortly after this. So that should be fine. The Leeds United fan says, just offer him a good contract, don't make it difficult like usual. I don't think we do make it difficult like usual. Like, if you have a look at the deals that we've done recently, the vast majority of them we get done and we get done in good time. Like, all of our deals last summer that we got done for an affordable sort of price whilst completely remodelling the way that our squad looked. And I think that's something that's quite underrated about the way that we do this sort of business. People are next saying it's done but would rather wait till it's official. That's fair. I've seen various people say that it was done, but I don't want to be the kind of person that commits to basically saying, yep, we've 100% got it done. It's brilliant. It's fine. We love to see it. And then it gets sort of turned around, doesn't happen. I get simicast again, which is never the most fun thing. Here our Welsh players have been chatting to him. That's the sort of vibe that I got as well during the last international camp / break that the Welsh boyos were at. It felt a little bit like, okay, just get in his ear a little bit, have a little bit of a chat, tell him that he wants to come to Leeds United, and that'll really help us along the way and all that kind of stuff, you know? Villa are after Bowen. The Bowen thing's really weird, right? Because I saw rumours that West Ham, who will probably have to sell Jared Bowen because he's not going to want to play in the Championship. If he did, he'd be far too good for it. But he's not going to want to be there. The sort of conversation that I heard around Jared Bowen was that they were going to ask for about 50 million quid. And that's wild to me. Fact of the matter is, he's not a £50 million player. He's 29, almost on the wrong sort of end of 30. Also, I'm going to brighten up the key light, which is hopefully not going to cause any problems. There we go. And at the same time, he's not really necessarily what Aston Villa need. So demanding £50 million is complete madness. So I think if Villa don't end up getting Harry Wilson, who is obviously one of their priority targets, but if that doesn't happen, then their alternative being, we'll pivot and we'll do Jared Bowen, it seems nuts because financially that's madness. And we know that Aston Villa financially aren't in the strongest of positions because they keep overspending and not rectifying it. There is apparently rumours that Morgan Rogers could be out the door, which could probably help with their financial situation, but that's not an out of the door that they necessarily want to do, which is going to be a bit of a problem. Have I been tracking the flights? I did have a look at the old flight radar a couple of days ago, just for a little bit of a throwback, and I did see that there was a flight from Cardiff, but personally I don't know why he would necessarily fly from Cardiff, because if he was back visiting family, his family are from Wrexham, and otherwise he'd probably be flying from London. But there's questions all over the spot. Joe Tiff says he was at the Thor Arch yesterday. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, he might have been, but I've not. It's one of those where I don't want to jump in and say, yeah, Harry Wilson to Leeds is done because Joe Tiff tweeted it. It would be more a case of Harry Wilson to Leeds is done because he's actually been reported as in Leeds by a lot of verifiable sources, or because it's come through those sort of more significant channels. I think that's what makes a little bit of the difference, and why that's the direction I sort of want my channel to be going in. It wants to be more consistently like, if you come to my channel and I say a thing is done, the thing is probably done, as opposed to you come here, I just shout words about various things that people have tweeted, and then 1 in 15 times I might be right. I tend to go down the sort of avenue of, this is what the facts are at the moment from actual sources that know things, or at least actual sources that have been verified to have known plenty of things. Athletic, YEP. Some of it is more loose rumour talk, but I will sort of verbally label that as the rumour talk. And then you end up with a rough idea of what's actually going on. We'll get 50 million for Somerville, we get 20% of that. I don't think we do, because we sold Somerville under more of a sort of exit clause kind of thing, and exit clauses don't tend to have sell-on fees. So I don't know if we get any of the Somerville. Ooh, wait, hang on. Unless it's compensation for youth development. 1 second, I'm going to do a Google. Compensation for youth development football rules. They're triggered when a player signs their first professional contract or transfers between clubs before turning 23. And I believe he's over the age of 23. Is he? Somerville is 24. Shit! That would have been really convenient for us, wouldn't it? Until the end of the season on their 23rd birthday. Yeah, that's not going to work out for us, but no, we don't get the however much percent. I think it'll only be 5% anyway. But slight change of topic, but people seem to think Gruev will go if we get Charles. However, Gruev is injured and won't raise much. Is he still injured? Ilya Gruev injury. It's probably fine now, to be honest. No, wait, never mind. Um, Currently in Bulgaria, he's balancing rehab with family time. Yeah, I mean, it's not like an injury is going to stop you from signing someone. If we're told you can sign Julian Brandt, but he's tweaked his hamstring and won't be available for the next 4 weeks, you're going to look at that and go, well, it's pre-season, it doesn't matter. So I don't think that would necessarily stop us from moving him on in the same way that it wouldn't stop us from signing a player a lot of the time. A medical isn't just a case of are you injured right now, it's a case of are there any underlying problems. And I think he's not a player that's got an underlying injury history, so I think that'd be basically fine. What's your dream window? Right. Winger/10, which would be Wilson. Probably an additional 10/winger/creative player, just so we get a little bit more at the top of the pitch. Left back. I would say left back cover, but I will say young, upcoming left back that might provide competition to Gudmundsson. Left-sided centre back. Goalkeeper depends on what happens with Darlow. I think if we keep Darlow, then you don't need to sign another goalkeeper. If you don't keep Darlow, then you need to sign another. I would probably go relatively young, whilst having a lot of talent to him. Archibolu, who has played in the Bundesliga, is a very, very good goalkeeper, and I think signing him would be a big show of intent. And beyond that, it would be a case of just sort of replacing players that aren't here anymore. I know a bunch of people are saying that we need another number 9. Calvert-Lewin scored plenty last season. Metcha scored plenty per 90 last season. I think there are other positions that need the priority. So deal with those first, then you backfill the number 9 and work around that kind of stuff. Where are we? Till he picks up at Thorpatch, then it didn't happen. Yeah, that's the rough sort of idea. Yes, we have agreed a deal for Alex Cairns for the next 2 years, which is quite good. It's good having sort of that third goalkeeper that suits a homegrown rule and all that kind of stuff. Hello there, Lee. I'm doing all right, thank you very much. Don't mind Cairns staying, but don't want him taking up space in the squad. I wonder if he'll be excluded from the 25. I think he'll take up a spot, but it won't be that much of a problem because you've not got Melier also taking a spot right now. Russ says, just seem prepared. We are prepared to offer Wilson a long-term contract and a pay raise to seal a move at Elland Road. Honestly, I thought that'd happen anyway. Seeing as it's a free move, there's going to be big signing on fees, there's going to be big wages, it's going to be enough to tempt him over, which is quite good. I take Japan's Ito for a year if Wilson doesn't come. That'd be Hiroki. That do be Hiroki. As in the centre back, left back, and defensive midfielder. Unless there's another Ito. Japan squad. Let's have a look. Scroll. That's the manager history. Oh, Junior. Yeah, Junior Ito. He's also 33, which is very much not what we tend to do. So I'd be on the fence about it. Any updates on Shea Charles? Odds are there will be a second bid. I know our first one got rejected. It's just a question of if we've officially lodged a second one yet. If we haven't, it'll be a matter of time. It's definitely on the way. But we'll make another move for Shea Charles. He will move away from Southampton this summer. It's just a question of where to. Grove depends on severity of injury. I thought it was fairly long term, a couple more months. Joseph will stay at Leeds. Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame because I thought Joseph might make a little bit of money for us this summer. An upgrade in central midfield is not a priority for you. I think central midfield is probably our best spot at the minute. Because you've got Stack there, you've got Ampadu there, which is a fantastic baseline. If you're adding Wilson and Brandt, then you've got your number 10 in case you play 4-2-3-1. And behind them already you've got Outanaka, which people are already begging to play games. So if you're now also saying, well, get another midfielder in, there's fewer games for Tanaka. People are saying the same about Longstaff. And it's a question of whether Gruev goes or not. But I think we are sort of stacked in the midfield, which is a pun that I'm going to keep on using. If a 9 wasn't priority, why didn't we try and buy Strand Larsen in January? We tried to buy Strand Larsen in January because it made economic sense, basically. Because he was, at that point, effectively a distressed asset. Wolves knew that they needed to sell and knew that they would make more money in January than they would in the summer. So we hopped on that and went, okay, if we're able to sign this guy, then we're going to get him for cheaper than his market value, which means that we're ultimately going to win out through that. At the end of the day, didn't happen for us, but that's sort of why, because once the price got a little bit too high, we went, no, that's okay, Palace, you have him. And at that stage, cool, you've not got an asset that was going to be worth more than you paid for him. But when when you end up spending more and more and more and more and more and more, then that gap between what you paid and their actual value shrinks, and it becomes a bit less worth it to do. I think it was a move of opportunity for Strand Larsen. It's less that, Danny, being we wouldn't have had as much to spend this window, and more we would have had to have sold someone by the 30th of June. Whereas having not done that, we can just wait things out a little bit, and we can protect our squad cost ratio, or whatever the wording is on that. I'll see if there's any more on Harry Wilson before I end the stream, but I'm going to have to relatively soon, because I have work on the Portugal-Uzbekistan match starting in no time at all, which is going to be a fairly interesting one. Okay. Right, that'll be fine. Anyway, we could come up next season with the same midfield at a push, but it's not a bad idea to upgrade. Yeah, that's why I think if we get Charles, he's probably the upgrade. But he's not one where I'm like, we urgently need to do more there. Like, it'd be nice enough to get him, but it's not one where I'm saying if we don't get it done, we need to urgently find someone different as well. Article in the Standard. Ooh. London Standard. And then I'll add the words Harry Wilson. Reports suggest Leeds are prepared to offer a long-term contract and a pay rise. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that just makes sense, to be honest. If you're trying to attract someone on a free, you understand that you need to pay a little bit more in wages. So, pretty much all good. Anyway, I'm going to have to end that stream there, because I got work to start focusing on. I had like a 20-30 minute chunk of time available, and I've eaten into that more than I planned. But if you enjoyed, I'd massively appreciate if you could pop a like on the stream. That is genuinely really, really helpful for the channel. Subscribe if you haven't yet as well. There's one little button down there, and you boop it, and it makes the number go up, and it makes me feel good. Thank you. Or even be a channel member, you get videos early and all that kind of stuff. I hope everyone enjoys Portugal versus Uzbekistan, and then I hope Leeds absolutely batter Ghana. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Toodaloo, mi amigos.